Hello and welcome to another edition of For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest today is Tony Wellman. He is Director of Communications and Sales for the adventure parks at both Storrs and Bridgeport. And in case you haven't noticed, we are in Tony's house today. We are out on location. First of all, thank you for having us come to one of your places. We happen to be broadcasting from Storrs today, but we'll get into Bridgeport as well. But first of all, thanks for having us here.
Welcome to our house. Welcome to the adventure park.
Let's talk about your house and the adventure park. Now, people have heard, it's very new. As a matter of fact, Storrs has only been here since April 2013,
That's
right? And people might have the idea that, and people make this mistake a lot, that it's just zip lining, but this adventure park is much more than that. So talk about that.
What this is zip lines. Yes, we absolutely have zip lines, but it's zip lines and more. It's more properly called an aerial forest park, AFP. Or an aerial forest ropes park.
So it sounds to me like that describes...
There will be a quiz.
You're up in the trees, but you're doing a lot more than just zip lining.
Absolutely. Now zip lines, of course, are the draw for this, because everybody's heard of zip lines. There are lots of zip lines all over the state, all over the country. But this is, our two parks here in Connecticut are the only two parks of their kind in the state and among the few in the country. It comes from Europe. It's been very big. There are hundreds of these parks in Europe, aerial forest parks. It is zip lines, and well, can you see in the back there? Can you see we have platforms throughout the trees in the park, and between these platforms are bridges, which we call elements, but they're bridges, or zip lines. And you go from platform to platform, navigating a little challenge. And the fun of it is figuring it out and getting to the next platform. And then you get to one platform where you might have a zip line, then you get another platform, you're doing a certain kind of climbing, and it's wonderful. It's really an active thing as opposed to a passive activity.
So you could, you may not know, if you want to take the whole tour up in the trees, you may not know when you'll actually zip line. You'll be doing some bridge crossing, or it's one way to say it.
Yeah.
Zip line a little bit of the way and then do something else, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's always fresh. And the important thing for people to know is that this is not just one single course. We have here in Storrs 5 different courses, and they're different challenge levels. So everybody begins with an introductory course. Like when you go skiing, you begin on the bunny slopes, and then you go to more and more. And all of them
I haven't left
color-coded.
the bunny slopes yet.
Well, that's okay. You've got a lot of company there,
Yeah.
Sean. So you start off with an introductory one, and then you've got 2 hours here at Storrs to climb whatever you want, and then you go on to more challenging courses, or you repeat the same one if you like.
So once you get a little bit more experience, or you feel comfortable,
Yeah.
You can just kind of go off on your own up in the trees, basically, right?
I mean, basically, we want people to climb them ideally sequentially. They start off color-coded: yellow, green, blue,
for
black.
difficulty, right?
Exactly. We don't want you to go right from yellow to black.
Right.
You might not be prepared for it, but that's part of the fun. And most people do not. As a matter of fact, most people do not do the entire park in 1 2-hour visit. So there's plenty to come back for.
And this is just the Storrs facility. Talk about Bridgeport a little bit.
Well, Bridgeport, the proper name of the one in Bridgeport is the Adventure Park at the Discovery Museum. And it is located on about 5 acres of forest, similar to here. There's about 5 acres here at Storrs, with its own arrangement of platforms and bridges. Now, while the activities are similar, they're not identical because every forest is different.
Right. Good
and
point.
we use the natural layout of the forest to determine how to plan the park.
You
so
could
you
almost
could climb here and climb at Bridgeport and be completely different.
I was going to say, if you wanted a different challenge on a given day, you could just go to the other location and for something completely different.
Yeah.
Same type of stuff, but a different course, which just kind of freshens it up a little bit, right?
Absolutely. And we also will, as a park continues in its history, we will add new features. For instance, last year our park in Bridgeport started off with 8 different courses. Now we have 11 different courses. Here we have 5 courses to start here. We'll see how it goes. And then depending on that, we'll try to create new customer experiences.
So then a park like this, so basically you acquire, a certain amount of acreage, and some of it might not get used initially as it is. So it's an evolving process. It's always an evolving process.
Exactly. We let our customers tell us what they're looking for. We'll at the end of the season, we'll have a sense of what people were enjoying, what they were doing, and whether we need more courses or whether we want to stay that way for a while. So it's very early in the Storrs' career. I mean, we just opened in April.
So talk to me about how how it was decided that was Bridgeport going so well, you said, you know what, let's take this idea and take it to another part of the state, far away, actually, it turns out, so that you can get as many people to experience it either on one end of the state or the other, and let's do it again, all over again.
Absolutely. Well, the thing is, this is such a new thing to the United States, and it's really, I keep saying this because it's very special that Connecticut has 2 of these, whereas the rest of the country only has, you know, a smattering of them. It's a coming thing. I guarantee you'll be hearing more about these in the years to come. We started off with Bridgeport.
Yeah, how did that get started first? So why don't we go way back to the beginning?
Well, it's obviously we need certain things to make an adventure park work. We need a good forest with good trees.
Connecticut helps out in that respect, right?
We have lots
Being
of
very
good trees.
rural.
Yeah, we have lots of good trees. Then we need a landlord or partner that's interested in it. In this case, it was the Discovery Museum, which has a lot of acreage behind it. And so we have an agreement with the museum, so a lease with them to create our park. And every ticket we sell there also helps the museum. So in that case, it's helping a nonprofit as well as our own business. So it's a twofold kind of thing going on there. And it did so well last year that we had to add more elements. As a matter of fact, our park in Bridgeport has, I think I mentioned, 13 different courses now, and we now have courses that 5- and 6-year-olds can climb on.
No kidding.
Now
Wow.
here in Storrs, it's just 7 years old and up. But we have special courses that we just constructed that are suitable for 5- and 6-year-olds.
Could that come to
or you
Storrs
or me if
eventually?
we're just beginning
Just
climbing
there,
too.
yeah. So for the amateur, for the beginner.
In other words, even more safe beginner level that a smaller child could navigate easily.
You know, there's sports and there are activities where you don't, you're not stripping a forest and turning it into a shopping plaza. You're having fun and exercising and learning about nature within the confines of nature.
Absolutely.
I watch zip lines.
Did we
go
get a
by
zip
as
liner
we-
behind
Yeah,
us?
go. It's good stuff.
You never know what's going to happen here. You hit on a very important point to us because part of our idea here at the adventure parks is enjoying nature, getting families and people out, away, as we say, get off the couch and get into the trees.
And this isn't just riding a zip line. I mean, you work out. I mean, you get an exercise.
You work out.
Climbing.
Yeah, we don't want to scare people.
Right.
I mean,
but
once
it's
you come
fun.
and take a look for yourself, and by the way, it's free to come, and anytime we're open, if people don't want to climb yet, just come, park, and walk through the park and take a look for yourself. I guarantee once they see it, they'll be entranced.
They'll want to try it out.
Absolutely. So we try to keep it fresh, and everything we do here, we do with an eye to maintaining the natural environment just as much as possible. We really use little or no electricity. Now we're running your cameras here on electricity, but our courses do not require electricity, just human power.
Yeah, body power. That's
Body
it,
power.
right?
Yeah. And we have 7-year-olds climbing here. We had a woman celebrate her 80th birthday in Bridgeport
And
last
she
year.
did some of these
by
activities?
Climbing. Yeah.
Wow.
Now she didn't climb our advanced black course.
No, yeah.
But she climbed perhaps our yellow or our green course.
That's still very impressive because you would expect an 80-year-old to be sitting on her front porch in a rocking chair, not climbing at a place like this.
Well, you forget, you know, we have preconceived notions of what it is to be elderly nowadays. You know, our generation now is going to be active, hopefully, well into our 60s and 70s.
We live
so
longer
at least.
nowadays.
Yeah.
All right, so back
if
to
all goes according to plan, Sean.
we're keeping our fingers
Yeah.
crossed. So back to Bridgeport.
Yeah.
Okay, so you added some extra stuff to Bridgeport, but then
Right.
at some point you decided, you know what, we can't and we don't necessarily just want to keep adding to the same facility. We want to find some forest somewhere else in another part of the state and
That's right.
open
You
up another facility.
You did ask that. I'm sorry, I didn't answer that. Well, at a certain point, as I said, we look for a good forest. We look for a landlord or a partner who's interested in it. We look for the right amount of population densities to support the traffic to that, obviously. A lot of forests are just too rural. There's not enough traffic.
Yeah, right.
So here, Storrs looked really good, obviously, because the university's here. The downtown area is growing, and it's accessible to a lot of highways and so on. So we can attract attention from the eastern part of the state, maybe down from Massachusetts a bit. So it's that much more approachable. Whereas our Bridgeport Park,
It doesn't seem like there's a lot of woods in Bridgeport, but is there?
well, that's a wonderful thing. what we're doing in Bridgeport is showing people that Bridgeport is just not an inner city situation.
Good point,
Yes,
yeah.
we're part of a 90-acre forest called Veterans Memorial Park there. So it's wonderful to get people into Bridgeport and say, oh, I had no idea Bridgeport was like this as well. So
Yeah.
it's great for Bridgeport, it's great for us, great for the museum. And in this case, we feel this is a good location for the northern and eastern parts of the state, or for people from other areas that want to come, but it'll tend to be northern and eastern parts of the state, and perhaps Massachusetts as well, maybe Rhode Island. You know?
You get a lot of college kids at the Storrs one, obviously, since
We
UConn
hope
is
so,
there. Yeah.
and I'll come back and ask me this fall.
As a matter of fact, when we drove in, I think we saw a UConn sign for discounts, right?
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's right. All college students, not just UConn or Eastern Connecticut, but all college students receive a 10% discount to show us your ID when you come here. And that's any of our parks. That's Discovery or this park.
Now, when the Storrs facility opened in April, I would imagine that you're kind of under time constraints. I mean, because this is a warm weather summer sport. So April, you're like, well, let's get this open so that they can take full advantage of it.
Yeah.
And the timing was important for this facility, right?
Yeah, it was. And we have a couple of wonderful local partners who own this property here. And they are big supporters. They were looking for something like
kidding,
this for
right?
years. It's a great story. They bought this property years ago, thought that they'd like to do something with it to develop it, but in a very eco-friendly way.
That's tough to do. You know?
They heard about zip lines and things like that, and then by sheer chance in a coffee shop, they met up with Bahman Azarm, who is the president of our company, and it was kismet. I mean, they said, we're looking for what you do.
It was meant to be.
We're looking to
wasn't it?
do for what you're looking to do.
Yeah.
And they built it.
It was meant to be. Now, normally, if you were looking for a partner, how do you go about that? You know what? Because it's so specific. How would you get the word out? How would you find a partner to be able to open up another facility?
How about an interview like this?
Yeah.
I mean, the great thing about this is our best advertising is people who have climbed here. And I know that sounds corny,
No,
but it
word
is
of mouth.
absolutely true. People leave here so enthusiastic after a climb that they have to talk about it. They have to tell their friends, their family. Kids go back to school, they talk about it, and the kids come back and say, I want my birthday party there, and then it just spreads. I've never seen, it's such a wonderful viral message. So and the word gets out naturally. You know, as I said, we're looking for the right locations, right amount of population density, right amount of forest, you know, a friendly environment for starting a business, that kind of thing. So we're wide open to suggestions.
Is it possible that, depending on how successful things go here and continue in Bridgeport, that maybe there could be a third location at some point down the road?
Never say never, Sean.
That's right. There's plenty of woods in Connecticut.
We're
plenty of
building one
forests.
right now in Frankenmuth, Michigan.
Oh, is
as
that
a matter
right?
of fact, yeah. And that will be opening up at the end of this month, at the end of August, as we're recording this now. So we're very excited about that. So we love Connecticut because I live here and the president of the company lives here, but we work all over the country.
Does that mean that you and the president of the company, and if you're director of communications
Yeah.
and sales, you have had to partook in this numerous times, correct? How much zip
yes.
lining and
well,
climbing have
I'm
you
a
done?
moderate climber.
Okay. That's
I'd like
fair.
I'd like to climb more.
People
but
should
I'm
know
not.
that you're 6'4", by the way.
I'm
So
6'4",
does that
yeah.
make it more difficult to do some of the things?
Well,
or-
I'll tell you, when I try to do the courses designed for the little kids, it's a very interesting thing to say because some of them require a lot of crouching.
Yeah.
But I can do it. I mean, I haven't done all of the courses, but I'm a perfect example of the average member of the public. Most of our public do not climb all of the courses. Most of our customers do not climb our advanced courses. Most of them are in the introductory to middle range, and that's absolutely fine. Just the same as with skiing. Does everybody become an expert skier? No. Everybody finds their comfort level, and that's the beauty of this, that you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be Tarzan. It's designed so everybody can find their safety zone and maybe push it a little bit.
Well, I was going to say, but at the same time,
Comfort zone, I mean. Yeah.
at the same time, though, there's got to be the adrenaline junkies that are attracted
Of
to a
course.
place like this, and they've got to be really into
It's
it.
different
too.
for everybody. Everybody finds their spot here. Of course, the adrenaline rushes. We have a little thing we call the Adventure Park swagger. And when we see people leaving the park after a climb to return their harnesses, everybody, I didn't even mention this, everybody wears safety harnesses, of course. There's sort of a little little swagger to their step because they've achieved something. They're feeling good about themselves.
You know, you brought up a good point for those that are watching right now and maybe are thinking about trying it, but are concerned about safety. So alleviate their concerns.
Okay, very, very good question. Every mother wants to know about this. Every teacher wants to know about this. Everybody that comes and climbs at the adventure park wears a safety harness, okay? That's one reason we're limited as to the number of people we can have climbing at any given time. We only have so many harnesses. Everybody wears a harness. I don't know if you'll see occasionally people walking behind us. You know, they're red.
I keep looking up because they're all over
They're
all over
definitely
the trees.
wearing them if they're in the trees.
Yeah.
And the safety harness, of course, secures you, and to that you have two cables that come out with safety clips. These safety clips connect to cables or safety cables that go throughout the park. So during your entire time in the trees, you are connected to a safety cable. And it's designed in such a way that you can control it, but it defeats you unclipping completely. You're always at least connected with one, usually with both. So that even if you lose your footing or, you know, if you let go, which we do not advise, of course, you'll be hanging in your harness. And then you climb back on yourself, or if you need help, you just ask for one of our staff and they'll assist you.
I think one of the other things, safety-wise, or to alleviate concerns for people, is when you come, you're not just strapped on with a harness and then sent on your own. There's a bit of an orientation that you go through so that so you know what to do and you feel a little safer that way.
Absolutely. Part of what we do, it's not like an amusement park ride where you get in the bucket and goodbye. Yeah. You come here, we welcome you. You do a little bit of paperwork. We give you your harness. We give you a pair of gloves to wear as well. And then everybody goes to what we call a safety briefing or a climber's briefing. And this is where we show you what the park is about. This is how you approach a zip line. This is how you deal with your safety clips. And that takes about 15 to 20 minutes. That's not time off your climb. That's in addition to it. And so by the time you begin climbing, it's still new to you, but you've been briefed. It's not as if, what am I supposed to do here? You know?
Right. Now, are there, depending on your physical shape or your ability level, obviously zip lining, there's probably weight limits on that, or even, you know, quite frankly, climbing in the first place, right?
Well, we have a suggested limit of about 265 pounds. And there are several reasons for that.
Probably one of them for your own comfort's sake, right?
The big one is for the customer's comfort, because there will be activities which require them to lift upper body strength and so on. And in fact, in some of those, it's easier for a little person to do it than a big bodybuilder.
Right.
But not impossible for either. So we have that in mind, and of course, stress issues with the cables and so on. But that seems to work out pretty much fine.
What happens on a rainy day? Are there some activities that can still be done, or is that kind of, do you just take the day off?
An excellent question. We operate by what you would call golf and swimming pool rules, which means in a light rain, we continue to climb. If we see any lightning or hear any thunder, everybody comes out of the trees. We wait for it to pass, and then everybody goes back up again. And we have tents here where you can pause and sit at a nice picnic table like this. And of course, we credit everybody their time, you know, if their climb is interrupted. So it's only with what we call extreme weather that interrupts it. So if it's a light rain, we can climb. It's fine. And you're under leaves and all that, so it's not heavy.
Fairly protected.
Yeah.
So what happens in the cold winter months? What goes on at places like this? Are you sitting in rooms deciding what we're going to add for features and attractions next time?
Absolutely.
Are you out in the field maybe doing some work or anything?
Oh, this is 365-day business, but in terms of our hours, we're generally open. This will vary, but from about April through into November. And we could climb longer than that, but the weather becomes unpredictable when you get into November. You never know if you're going to get a sudden snowstorm or something like that. And we have certain procedures we have to do to close down a park. So we can't close it down, then open it back up. So we figure at a certain point in November, we finally say, okay, that's about it for this year. Let's wait till late March or early April, we'll open up again.
You know what, the fact that you're getting into November means that this lush green that we're looking at right now, and we're taping this in the middle of the summer, what must fall look like here? I mean, it must be an attraction just for that alone, to be up in the trees.
You've
Talk
got to
about
come
that
back.
a little bit.
You've got to come back. Well, it's the forest.
Yeah.
It's the forest. What could be more beautiful than a forest? In the summer, it's beautiful because it's green. In the spring, it's gorgeous because it's just budding. In the fall, you've got all the colors. I mean, look at all the maples we have here, and we have a great variety of trees here. So you get all this different kind of foliage. But this will be our first fall here.
Right. Okay.
Remember,
Yeah.
we just opened in Storrs.
Right.
In April.
Yeah. So you're going to see the orange and the red and the yellow and the gorgeous fall New England forest for the first time up here. That should be something. You know, do people? I would imagine people come and they take pictures and shoot video on their phone and everything.
We welcome picture taking here. Absolutely welcome it. And the important thing for your listeners to know, your audience to know, is that there's no charge for family or friends who accompany climbers to just come in for nothing.
Hang out, walk around, take pictures, you know.
Bring a picnic.
Yeah.
Picnics are welcome here, and take pictures. I've had more stories of grandparents saying, this is the best thing that I've seen because I can take my grandchildren with me. And some grandparents climb, but not all. But they can feel secure because we have these paths that parallel the courses all throughout the park. So grandpa, grandma can walk along, take pictures, talk to the grandchild, and say, "You're doing great. It's wonderful. Meet you back at the picnic table," or what have you.
Is it possible to get lost in this, or is it just impossible to get lost?
No, it's a nice wild look, but it's not Hansel and Gretel wild.
Right.
You don't need
You're
to
not
leave
deep into the forest.
Yeah, you don't need to leave breadcrumbs.
Right.
We have these wood chip paths.
All right, so you can follow one of those.
Just follow the wood chip
You'll
paths.
get back to civilization even if you do.
Absolutely.
Do you ever bump into? You are in the forest.
Remember, it's
You're in
just 5 acres.
Right.
So
Yeah. In the wood, do you ever bump into any of the creatures that live here? There's probably far too many people for them to. They probably just want to be as far away from people as possible.
I'm sure we have creatures, but with this many humans, I think they probably keep a low profile during our operating hours.
So to do this, is it family affordable? Talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
Because that's another concern that people will have. The safety thing, do I want to try it? But how much does it cost?
Of course. Well, it's a good question. And we actually have different pricing levels. We have our general admission prices are staggered according to age. And let me just make sure, since I'm quoting this, I want to make sure I'm absolutely accurate. They go from ages 7 to 9, 10 to 11, and 12 and older. So for a 7 to 9-year-old, it's $28. For a 10 to 11-year-old, it's $33, and for 12 and older, it's $38, to which we have to collect for the state of Connecticut an admissions tax of 10%. Now, that's our full price ticket. That's if you just show up during business hours and want to climb. We also have something called a twilight ticket, which is considerably less. If you get here in the last 2 hours of our climbing day, we cut the ticket price for everybody down to, I think it's $28.
So you should experience it kind of like beginning
So it's
to
$28,
get dark?
$29, but it cuts it way down for a 2-hour climb, or as long as the climbing day remains.
Right.
You know, so if we start the tickets, right now we're starting them because of the way the sun is at 5 o'clock.
Right.
You know, as we get later into the season, it'll probably go a little earlier.
Gets darker a little
You can just
earlier.
call the park and ask, you know, or go to our website.
Which I want to get to now because we're almost out of time, so I want you to be able to mention the website so people can go and learn about. This will be a website for both Bridgeport and Storrs.
Actually, you'll go to this website and you'll just see locations on it. Storrs, Bridgeport, you'll see some of our other locations as well. Just click on that and the website will come up for that park, and then it'll have all the details, prices, hours of operation, updates, any of that sort of information. We also have Facebook pages for both parks.
And that's important. Social media is important. People are going to take pictures. They're going to want to check in. They're going to want to link.
Oh yeah, we've
so all
got
that
great
stuff.
pictures. If you want to see, we have more of our pictures on our Facebook pages, so make sure to check that. And there's a link to our Facebook pages
Right
on both of our websites. Yeah. So the website to go to is funinthetrees.com.
And we're going to put a graphic up on the screen too for people.
Funinthetrees.com. How can you forget that?
Tony Wellman, the Director of Communications, also does sales for the adventure parks at both Storrs and Bridgeport. It was a pleasure coming here.
Are we done already?
And see, time flies
That
when
was
you're having a
fast.
good time. But thanks for letting us
Sean,
be here.
thank you
Pleasure.
for coming. We're going to get you in the trees?
Oh, the trees, and you know, I might be too afraid to even get up. Never mind, come down. But we'll give it a shot.
There's no rush. There's no rush. Everybody in their own time.
I'll pace myself. That's our show for today. I'm Sean Murphy. This is For the Record. You can see this show and many others on our YouTube site. In the meantime, we'll see you next time. Take care.